Hello, welcome. Thank you for joining me today. So, I want to talk about the current energies that we're in right now. And to me, it feels like a lot of really, really deep integration. And so, last week, we did have a lot of X flares after kind of like a lot of low level C's and M's where it was just kind of building for a while. And last week, we were talking about this sort of like in the river, in the garden type of energy where everything was starting to flow and like everything felt really lubricated and like things were lining up and starting to land. And what's interesting is sometimes with the X flares we can feel really, really ecstatic. Like for me personally, ever since the beginning of this year, they've hit me, and they've hit me like this before actually at other times, but it seems pretty consistent the last 6 months or so. Whenever the X flares would come, I'd get like really ecstatic and have a lot of energy and could start all these projects and get ideas and downloads and all this. And this last one just like completely wiped me out. Like I was so tired. And I remember the first time I got hit with the solar energy, I actually thought I was sick. I thought I had the virus that was going around because I was like, I have never felt anything like this before. And I was so exhausted and I couldn't get out of bed and I just thought something was wrong. And, then it like happened enough times that I was like, oh, this is an energy thing. Like I'd, cancel everything and lay in bed. And then one day I was just like, fuck this. This keeps happening. And I just went and like took a hike up on the hill and I had all this energy and I started like realizing what was going on. But so it was like that. It was reminiscent of that, like how I was feeling it like 2.5 years ago. Hit really, really deep and hard. And I had these dreams. Like I haven't been dreaming the way I normally dream. It's almost like I don't remember my dreams or they just seem unimportant. But I had this dream the other night where and this has sort of been a theme throughout my life. I mean, I'm in the desert, and that's probably when it started. But I think it's sort of like symbolic of something else beyond just being in the desert and missing water. But basically every direction that I looked out in, there was water, like an ocean, and it was just endless, and I was standing on a piece of land. There might have been land behind me in one direction, but I was talking to my friend and I knew that like I was the only one that could see that. Like I knew that to her it was land, and for some reason I was seeing the water, I was seeing the ocean. She's like, well, how do you see it? And I'm like, it just goes like as far out as you can see. Like it's just all land, all water. And I wasn't scared, even though it reminds me with another dream that I had where it was like I was seeing behind, I was seeing things in a different way. And so it was like that. And then at one point she like dove into the water and she swam to go somewhere, and I was like, well, did she actually dive into the water so she can see the water too, or was she walking and I just saw her as diving? So it just kind of hints of this like shifting perspectives, or perception, where you can see behind, you can see more, you can feel more. And so the last time that happened, when was that dream? I think the other dream that linked up with that was maybe around December or January. And I was talking about like the two suns. And so whenever my dreams kind of link up, especially when I haven't had them in a while, they kind of link up. Like the powerful dreams have a continuation of the story. So I feel like, and I don't think it's just a personal thing. I know this is a collective thing, but we're probably not all experiencing it at the same time. But definitely, and I was talking about this a couple readings ago too, where there's just like this new, like things are unveiling, and we're starting to see behind. But anyway, it's like, the lubrication and the things starting to roll and like moving into this new energy. But I felt like the degree of exhaustion that I had with these eclipses, flares, or the energies or whatever it was like this deep integration, because I got really, really taken offline. Like I couldn't, and I was talking about this in the last reading too, just not being able to like track anything or like recapitulate or even like wrap your mind around anything. You're just in the blackout, like you're just in the river, you're in the flow, and like things are coming in. But what I'm understanding now, because I was so taken offline, I couldn't be in my life because there's a lot of busyness with my daughter and like all these things coming in, and things kind of righting themselves and rearranging. I wasn't able to do any of that. I was in the desert house, and I basically just like sat in the desert or sat on the porch and just just did nothing. I did nothing, and I started to have some clarity. I started to be able to kind of understand what was going on, and what I was seeing is like there's this like things being made right. So it's like if you've been doing the inner work and you've been doing the shadow work and you've been really just rising to the occasion of whatever your trials or battles have been, because that's been going on a lot the last 6 months since the beginning of this year, like just being asked to clean things up, whether it's like in your home or in your psyche or in your social circles or whatever, just like get the energy really, really lined up. It's like if you've done that, then things are really starting to roll, and what is in alignment coming in and what's not leaving. Like it just feels like major musical chairs right now. But also it's deeper than that. It's also like the areas of your life that you've been in integrity and you've done that work are really working, and the areas that maybe you have more work to do, or it's like you've been going in a direction for the wrong reasons, are being unplugged. And you might be noticing that in people in your life too. Like I'm noticing that with certain people that maybe had like a whole empire around them, but it was coming more from manipulation or control, or just like preying off of people and stuff like that. It's like everything's coming crashing down, because in these energies, if you're not coming from your heart and you're not coming from alignment and with a unity principle, and it's that whole thing, like if what you're thinking or doing doesn't include the whole and doesn't consider the whole, then it's the wrong energy. It's the wrong energy, and what you're trying to pull off isn't going to sustain. And so yeah, it's really interesting. So we can see that in ourselves, like the things that are falling apart. You can find the inception point. It's like, oh yeah, I wasn't in right integrity with this. And if you've already cleaned up those areas, then everything in your life is going to start to flow. And it really is compassionate. We can feel like that the cosmos or the universe or our higher selves are unkind, but it's really, of course, just pointing us to what needs to be corrected. And of course, if you're conscious and spiritually minded, you're going to look at it that way. But some of the people in the world are not going to. They're going to feel like victims, or things are going to like crash and burn. But the ideal and the opportunity is to really learn the lesson and to come into alignment. So I have a couple people in my life that I have my eye on, that I'm kind of, they've been in a lot of darkness and things are kind of crashing down for them, and just trying to be, trying to hold space and prayers and to just offer whatever I can in terms of like opportunity or energy or just kindness, or just presence or just non-judgment or whatever it is. Because a lot of people don't really understand that like what's crashing, what isn't working is because it's just in the old energy. It's just in the old energy. So for a long time, these readings and the way I've been perceiving things have been like, okay, there's this door opening, we have an opportunity, and let's tune in and let's take time to ourselves and let's try to align with these energies. And it's almost like it's gotten far enough now that like they're really anchored. There's been like this progression of anchoring, but at this point it's like it's integrating so deeply that we're living. It's like the only option is to live from that higher perspective, from a perspective of kindness and compassion and love, but also self-respect, and also honoring our own needs to have our energy, our circuitry contained. Like the time of leaking energy or overgiving or doing for others because you don't have good boundaries, or you don't know how to you want to people please or whatever, like that's all cleanup too. That's all the things we've been being asked to clean up, throughout the time. So it's like any areas where we're leaking energy, again, that's an area where things are going to get really messy for people. Or myself included. It's like I had to do a whole nother cleanup recently where it was like, it like becomes excruciatingly painful to do something that's not in alignment for yourself, or to do something just to make others happy, or just to avoid the disappointment they might feel, or the rejection that you'll get if you stick up for yourself, or whatever it is. But a lot of things, like we're just being like pushed to the edge where you have to go the whole way through and come into alignment. And there can be it's going to get more and more uncomfortable if we don't. But again, it is an action of love, because it is trying to turn us. How long did I talk for 8 minutes? Sometimes I forget that I'm here to read cards, but yeah, just a crunch to get us to come into these energies, to come into what we came here to do, which is to live in alignment and to co-create and to flow and to be of service and to be our truest, most authentic selves. So I'm going to pull an overall energy and just move into whatever comes through in relation to the cards today. Oh yeah, wow, armadillo spirit, set healthy boundaries, exactly, as we were just talking about. Okay. And the other thing with this, which is really interesting, is my neighbor and I were both talking about this. Like, we're both really doing a lot with our yards. And so for me, I had a side yard. It's right out here, and it's just, I have all these like tree of heaven and like elm trees, invasive trees, and they're always growing up, and it's just always a big bloody mess. And I've just, I was like single mom, like going through like hell, and it just became like the area I neglected, and I never did anything with it. And so I'm hiring somebody. My landlord's actually paying for the entire thing, and we're going to dig up all the baby trees that are getting in the sewer, and we're going to clean everything up. My daughter and I are going to put a sitting area out there. And so, and this yard is like right on it's not a main road, but it's a main road out of town. And so a lot of people drive by, and it's just a mess. So it's like, in making my area beautiful and functional, it's like I'm contributing to the community as well, because people are going to drive by and not see this huge mess anymore. And maybe people don't notice, but it is sort of like in neighborhoods, you're supposed to clean up your sidewalk, and you're supposed to keep things tidy. And like, nobody ever gave me any trouble, because it's a compassionate neighborhood in town. Everybody knows each other, but just that little thing. And then, my other neighbor, they had, well, anyway, just lots of details, but it's like just tending to your areas and being responsible for your space, being responsible. Like, they had gardens in a yard that wasn't theirs. Like, they used to be in that space, but they weren't anymore, but they still had their gardens, and everybody's just cool with it. But now they're like putting their gardens in their own yard. It's just like energetically cleaner. It's like, let's just be responsible for our space, to not like, leak out our stuff onto other people, or, take advantage of anybody or anything. Like, it's just to rein it all in and have it all be tended to, and have it all be, and so again, the boundaries where we're choosing what comes in and what comes out, but we're also being responsible for what we put out, right? So this is another thing that was really coming up this weekend for me when I had all that free time. I was really thinking about, again, and I've been working on this for the last 2.5 years or so. Well, my whole life, but not my whole life, but for a while, but really consciously the last 2.5 years, is like my thoughts and my words and my beliefs, and knowing that what we believe and what we say, even if we're saying it about somebody else, is what we're putting out energetically, that hangs at our auric field. It's what we attract in, and that we are literally creating with our thoughts and our words and our beliefs. And so having boundaries against everything that's not in alignment with the highest expression in thought and word and belief and action, and so that's really cool. That's the overall energy, because I forgot that was a whole other thing I wanted to talk about, was just being responsible, taking responsibility on all levels for what we're putting out, whether it's energetic, whether it's our words, whether it's through our speech, our presentation, even that. Like, my daughter and I, when we're down in Columbus, we don't see anybody. When we're down in the desert house, we don't see anybody, and New Mexico, and we can get like really, really grungy, like our hair's a mess, and we're like all dirty, and the animals are gone now, so we're not like in hay and like animals and mud and pig shit and stuff, so it's a little bit cleaner. But I was just laughing at us because our hair was all like, and when I lived there full time, I just, you just don't care, you just wander out in the desert and who cares. But it feels really good to be clean and to have like beautiful colors, and to just like express yourself and whatever, like, just having everything be have thought to it, and to weave creativity and intention into everything that we're doing, because what we put in our bodies, what we expose ourselves to in terms of company, or the music that we listen to, or the videos that we watch, or movies, or whatever, it's like that is all merging with us. It's merging with us, and it's adding to our auric field, our energetic signature, and what we're going to be attracting in. Like, my daughter and I have been rewatching The Last Kingdom, which I really love that show. I don't watch like a whole lot of TV, but with her, it's a little bit different, because she wants to like relax and watch stuff, and it's just, yeah, I really love that show. I love the contrast of the Saxtons and the Danes, and just, there's a lot of stuff. I like historical fiction, but I'm finding that like we watched a little bit too much this weekend, because I was so tired, and we were just like exhausted, and I was just like, I want to just take a break. And so when I wasn't just like sitting on my porch like contemplating when she wanted to hang out, we were watching that. But anyway, it was just too much. And so like I find myself like, I wake up in the middle of the night and I'm thinking about Uhtred of Bevember, and I'm thinking about like, and it's like, I don't want that. I don't want that running in my head. I don't want that to be the screen that I'm filtering through. And so just being careful with that stuff, right? And sometimes it can just be so automatic or so unconscious, or like, we just get used to stuff. But like everything is important. Like everything that we're doing is important, because we're choosing which energy we're relating to. So a couple of readings ago, there was, I forget what the cards were, but it was kind of like, okay, there's this new energy here, but there's this like, there's still a process. There's something that we need to like kind of tend to. And so now I feel we're really, really in that. What we're tending to is just making sure that we're, and of course, ideally we do this anyway, but again, I feel like there's this sort of like, is it a crunch? It's not really about a crunch. It's really about an integration where these energies are getting so deeply integrated, and this was coming up in the last reading as well, so deeply integrated into our bodies and into the earth that it's like we have to function out of them because we are becoming one with them. That's what it is. It's not like, oh, you have to like, do this thing or you're not going to make it, or no, it's like we're literally merging. We're literally integrating with these energies. We're becoming one with them, and therefore the way we're maneuvering in the world is changing. And so, you might be finding that like more focused on health. I was talking about the detox guidance that came up last week. It's like we're just being guided and moving through guidance, right? Moving through that divine flow. Where we're being guided. Why? Because we are in the river. We are becoming one with these energies, and they're integrating with us. Okay, so all the things that stem from that, that's why I like to do these readings, just to bring consciousness to the subtleties that, like, once you become conscious of them, then you're conscious of them, and you can like, work with the energies to the highest potential that's available there. Because but it's going to happen unconsciously anyway, but it can just help. It can help to fine tune. So this whole message about the boundaries, again, and just having boundaries against everything that's old energy, on every level that exists, physically, our bodies, our thoughts. Okay, move into tarot in 16 minutes. That's fun. Kind of curious what these cards were. Yeah, okay. I was like, that's too many, but I had a feeling I was supposed to take them. So these are really freaking gorgeous cards. So we get the three of ours. So there's the soul contract, the soul family, that's how I always view this card anyway. So it's, it's working together. It's community. The card I got, because I'll pull a few cards in the morning for a read of the day, it was like time to collaborate. It was Ant Spirit. So that's exactly right. It's like we're coming together now. This is the age of Aquarius. We're moving deeper into it. It's like, as we get into right alignment with these energies and with ourselves, it's the natural byproduct that we come together and we bring our unique spark with others and we create something larger. So coming out with the Empress, the Queen of Earth, and the High Priestess. So this kind of energy was coming up in the last reading, being in the garden, being in the flow, being in your body, being integrated. It's like when you're standing in your power like this, the only way you can fully stand in your power on the earth is if you're also connected to your higher self. Like you can be an earth goddess and you can manifest and whatever, but you can still be functioning, you can still have a ton of energy leaks and, codependencies and, like just, all these kind of things. But in, part of how we get cleaned up, and we get our circuitry going, is we enhance our spiritual power, we enhance our spiritual connection, so that because that's really what it is. When you leak energy, or when you're making choices or thinking thoughts or engaging with people or things that are of distorted energy, or a habitual energy, or an old energy, or what I'm getting at, then it just kind of it dilutes our channel. It dilutes our it leaks, so to get our energy just kind of like this, that containment where it's going like this, we generate a magnetism, we generate a power, we generate our energy circuit flows, our chi flows, our our energy, our chakras, everything's open, right? Then you can easily connect. Okay, but you can't really easily connect until you clean up. But once you clean up, then you can be in this empowerment, and you can really have things start to flow and ground on the earth plane, which is the point, not to just live in these higher energies and to escape the body and escape the earth, it's to bring it down, but it's also not to just live in these the earth energies without that higher connection, because the point, especially with all these solar flares and where we're at in the cycle, in the yugas, and where we're at in the evolution of humanity, the point is to bring these higher frequencies down, to anchor them down, and to live them, and doing that in collaboration with others. So again, I was talking about this 2 readings ago, where it was like those soul collaborations, where the pieces of the puzzle, where you're meeting your soul family, and you're kind of like perceiving things the same way. You're meeting in that one mind. You've had similar journeys, and you can speak the same language, and that was point of this channel as well, to commune with other people that are oriented the same way that I am, that relate to the things that I talk about, relate to my perspective and life experiences, because they, again, we're on the same brainwave, right? There's that telepathy. that telepathy that we have. We have anyway. We can feel each other in the ethers, but it's like to voice it out loud, out loud, and to bring it together. To bring it together as we anchor these higher energies onto the earth, and again that reminder of the boundaries that that need to be in place in all the ways that we talked about, to really get that circuitry going, so that we can be a pure vessel for the higher energies, for the higher self, the higher soul, all that we are, the larger self that we are, the bigness of who we are, bringing it down, living in authenticity with others, sharing it with others, sharing ourselves, sharing ourselves. I mean, it's like people will say gifts or, offerings or service. It's like we are the service. We are the offerings. Just being ourselves, whatever that looks like, just being in our power and doing what we want to do, basically. If you like to dance, you dance. If you feel guided to create a dance for other people, just flowing with whatever. I started this channel just because my daughter and I were out in the desert, and we were kind of trapped there, and she was kind of trapped there, and I just knew she had this stuff going on, and I did too, and it was like, let's start a YouTube channel. Like, we both kind of had the idea at the same time, and it was like just for fun and just something to do and to connect with people and get her some interaction, and then it just turned into this whole other thing, and then people wanted personal readings, and then reading downtown at the shop, and it's just like I just took one small step because I was just in my I don't know, I just had the hit to do it, and I just started where I was, and then things developed, right? And so just contributing by being ourselves and doing what we love, and trusting that there is again, when we have that circuitry intact, and we have our sovereignty, and we're in alignment with ourselves, it's like everything automatically flows. That's that whole in the river, in the garden message that we were getting last week, or that I was talking about and feeling last week, is like it just kind of clicks in, and then you meet the right people at the right time, and all the right pieces for what you want to create are there, and it just flows. But again, how do you get there? You have to seal off the energy leaks. Energy leaks, right? And so really being guided, and it's almost kind of effortless to do that, because again, we're anchoring in these energies, we're integrating these energies, we're becoming one with these energies, and it's just how it works. It's how it works in these frequencies, and what is not cleaned up yet is going to fall apart. But again, to help with the cleanup, it's all in service. All in service. Okay, yeah. So there we get the devil. He did come up upside down. I don't usually read reversals, but I do notice when they come up, and I consider them. So I think that's pretty interesting that he came up upside down. So it's like, for a long time when we were kind of going through a little bit crunchier energies, he was in, him in a different deck, but he was in every single reading. And yeah, he's pretty alluring, right? He's like, hey, come over here. But he's upside down. It's almost like, the darkness, the inversion, there's so many ways we could say it, right? The hijack, the version of reality that's not real, that never has been real, the lie, the trick, the illusion has been defeated. I'm going to leave him upside down. Like he's upside down. He doesn't have power anymore, and I really feel that from around the time of the eclipse in April. Like, this was really up. He was trying really, really, really hard to convince you that there was nothing but him. And that's been going on for a little while, nothing but the illusion. There was no hope. There was no, awakening. There was nothing on the other side, and it's like a lot of us together have gone into those places and worked on those astral levels to dismantle, to hold strong, to bring light, to stand in our awareness and our higher truth, to affirm the power of divinity, to affirm the power of unity consciousness, the telepathic network, just standing steady amidst that. You could say it was a battle, but really it was kind of like a standoff. I mean, look at them, and look at her. She's like, I see the truth. I'm not being fooled by you. And he may have hung around for weeks and weeks afterwards, but eventually it's like, okay, there's just you can't when somebody knows and somebody sees and somebody's come into their full power and their full sovereignty, it's like there's just no point. Like, just go somewhere else. And all of us doing this together, so that's a real victory message. That's absolutely beautiful. All right, so he's going to stay upside down. So what else? Well, I guess I'll use this deck because I grabbed it. I looked up, it was 2424. Interesting. Okay. Let's see what else. The I thought maybe this entire deck was upside down, but it's not. This one came upside down too, but the Page of Pentacles. So that's a new path, the beginning of a new path. Doesn't really make sense to me that this would be upside down, because this feels like accurate energy. We are at the beginning of a very new path. It's an earth path, but it might be new, but there's a lot of power here. Because often the Page of Pentacles, like, oh, well, you might stay on the path, you might fall off, it's not really steady. And if you get the Ace of Pentacles, it's like, okay, you've earned it, it's hard. But it's like the reason why it's new is because humanity has never done this before. We've never anchored these higher energies, and I'm getting chills, onto the earth without leaving the body. You know, well, we've never anchored them onto the earth, but it's like we've never attained them or achieved them while in a body. It's like normally we have to die to realize unity consciousness and to, you know, collapse the timelines. And oh, that's the other thing that's been happening for me. I don't know if some of you are relating to this. I do feel this is an energy that's going on, but we might not all be experiencing it the same way. But it's like I'm having these flashbacks where this happens at different times in my life. And it used to happen a lot more, but it's happening again where I have these flashbacks, but they're not flashbacks. They're not like memories, but they're not necessarily memories that I can place. It's like, it's very visceral. It's of a certain location. And I'm like, I think that I used to just assume it was from my childhood. Sometimes it is. Sometimes it is a certain moment in my childhood, but it's almost like I'm connecting with a moment in my childhood when I was remembering something. So sometimes it's like I'm remembering something from, you know, like a parallel life or something, or, you know, it's like there's like a bleed through going on. But sometimes I'm connecting with times in my life when that bleed through was going on. So it's like, it's both. It's like, there's some like, you know, like configuration going on where things are uniting or collapsing. It's like everything's sort of in the same space. I've been feeling a little otherworldly lately, where it's like, it's not that I'm not grounded. It is that I'm not grounded. I'm having, no, that's not true, because I've been in my garden and I've been like doing all kinds of stuff. I am grounded, but I'm also just very otherworldly. So it actually very much is this energy where it's like you have both. You have that higher connection and you have that deep connection to the earth. But what's happening for me in this space is it's like these memories. There's just a lot going on. I'm holding a lot in one space right now. I don't fully understand it. So again, it's like that new energy. And again, that with the water, like the water was in all directions. That's a very much a high priestess energy, but it's also an empress energy because it was the earth and it was this realm, but it had this other element to it. You know, it had both. And so that's what's new for us, is to be able to hold both in such an integrated way on this planet in our lives. And I feel that this is starting now to a degree that we haven't experienced before. Again, it's like we were tuning in, but we might have to like kind of jump out of our bodies to tune in, or we were tuning in and anchoring, you know, in specific areas. But now with these boundaries, it's like, again, that circuitry is so intact that it's like an ignition, or like something has started. So again, you know, being one with, being integrated with these energies, and really turning the devil upside down. It's like, it's just not relevant. And that's what I've always known, is that when we reach a certain frequency, when we have that in boundaries, and we have our energetic signature sealed off, we're not able to be infiltrated, we're not able to be confused, we're not able to be lured in or distracted, or, you know, the leaking energy. We have everything intact. That it can't reach us anymore, because it can really only, and we've been talking about this as well, it can really only scare and manipulate us. So here comes the thoughts again, into believing certain things, to believing in its lie. You know, when you believe in something, you play with it, you dance with it, you create it, you vibrate on the frequency with it. So again, the importance of our thoughts, because it's what we're choosing, is the vibrational frequency that we choose with our thoughts. So if our thoughts align with this energy, then that's the one we're going to be matching with. That's what's going to be in our field, and that's what we're going to pull in, more of these experiences. But as we seal up these boundaries, we're careful with our thoughts, we lean into more of this higher truth, this higher knowing. We embody it, not just when we're meditating, not just when we take a moment, but in every action. So I was talking about the eye doctor, and how I went and I spent all this money, like $200 and something on an eye exam to get new contacts, because I wanted to upgrade my vision. And then after all that, they were like, oh, but we don't have gas permeable ones. We only have the soft. And I was like, oh, well, fuck, you know, because now I have to go somewhere else. But I just knew to be like really patient with that woman, and just kind of like I said in that other reading, if you saw it, like I was just kind of like, oh, you might want to let people know that, so that, because I didn't know, and she apologized, and then there was somebody like 2 hours away that would order them, but I might have to get an appointment there. And then she called back later and was like, oh, there's somebody in town here that might order them for you. So I called them, and they were like, well, normally you have to get an appointment, so I'd have to pay all over again. But I just stayed really calm. I stayed really aligned, because I don't care. Like, it doesn't matter if like money comes. Like I said, it's like when you need something, it comes. And like, I'm always generous with money and generous with my time. And I have boundaries, right? I don't do it if it doesn't feel right. But generally, it's like I know when to give and I know when to not. And I'm just in this sort of abundance flow. So I was like, whatever. I just saw it as like an opportunity for me to practice kindness. That's the Queen of Earth. She's very kind. She's very patient. She's very compassionate. And it worked out. The doctor was like, okay, we'll do that for you. And I'm like, great, I'll become a client, because you're the only one I can get them from. And so it like all flowed, right? But what was my point? Oh yeah. Well, I don't know if this was my point, but it does go with this. It's like when you make those choices, you have those boundaries. Because I could have been mad. I could have, been like, oh gosh darn it, or like leaked a bunch of energy over it. But no, I didn't. I had boundaries with that, and I just chose to trust that, like, it doesn't matter, and it's all good, and it's all practice, and it's all for a reason. And so therefore, I was like out of range of attracting in a situation where things didn't flow naturally. When you stay in that alignment, you stay in that higher alignment, and you come with kindness and compassion and patience, and you stand in your power, and you just know and trust that everything is for you, by you. And this is all really a game of frequency, where you get to choose, and you get to define your boundaries and define what comes in and out. It can't reach you anymore. You're not a match to it. You can only attract in that which is a match to you. And as you jump out of that game, in collaboration with others, right? We have the support of others doing the same thing. Even like these videos, like putting our consciousness together, focusing on this. We're absolutely on a new path, a new terrain. Where this is going to get easier and easier. But knowing that's the goal and that's the trajectory. Okay. So I'm gonna pull an oracle card. Whoops! All right, that one fell on the floor. Let's see what it is. All right. Oh, destruction. Interesting. Destruction. I really like this card. It's fire. It also kind of looks. Yeah, there's a lot in that. Destruction, moon, and balance. I had a feeling the balance card was going to come out. So destruction and the moon, the moon is the unconscious. Okay, so that's exactly right. This goes so well with this. It's like, we can unconsciously leak energy. We can unconsciously leak energy into this, right? It's just, we don't know it. So again, bringing into awareness the name of the game and the power that we have, putting our attention together on the power that we have as co-creative beings, being able to choose from that higher level, integrated and anchored on the earth in every action, in every choice action. That's what I was going to say about that. It's like not just like you're all om when you're meditating or doing yoga, but you are in every instance, even when you might lose money, or even when you might like somebody does something that was a mistake and like you have to suffer for it. It's like compassion, knowing that this the name of the game is not get and survive. The name of the game is to contain this energy so that we can anchor it and live from it and create a new way of being together, where we're living from higher consciousness. We're living from the higher frequencies, which are activating in us and integrating in our bodies, becoming our energetic signature, not from this bullshit that we've been conditioned and trained to live from. Okay, and so bringing that into balance, the destruction, when we function unconsciously without realizing why we're here and what we're doing, what the name of the game is, we create destruction. We add to the destruction. We align with this type of inverted energy. We align. We can be against war, but we could still be functioning unconsciously out of a consciousness that is aligned with war, that's still destructive. We might argue with people online, or we might, be divisive or hate people for having a different opinion, or, whatever it is, right? We're still engaging unconsciously in this destruction, which is still feeding that lower timeline, still feeding the very thing that we don't like. We got to jump out of that game and come into these higher frequencies. But the name of the game really is balance, right? And these boundaries, where we're just aware in every moment. We're aware again. Like, does this come from love or fear? Somebody said something. What did he say? about speaking. Like, is it kind? Is it helpful? Is it necessary? And if not, don't say it. Where it's like you're always keeping things in balance. You're always aware of the yin and the yang and the light and the dark, and like, which you're not unconscious, right? We're conscious. Balance and boundaries requires consciousness. The moon, can be an intuitive card, but in this instance, because it came out with destruction, it's like it's the unconscious, and that is the unconscious not being conscious, not being aware of your thoughts and your actions and what you're putting in your body, what you're saying and what you're speaking out there is what lets this win. But again, in this reading, it came up upside down. So it's like, game over. We're in these new energies, and we're working together as a team. So I'm going to pull a little bit more. I haven't used my Slavic tarot, and I love this deck because it's so earthy. I got it right around the time that I was starting to feel the energies really start to integrate down into the earth, where it's like, okay, these higher frequencies are starting. It's not just something that's like clearing us or activating us. Like the two things, right? Like clear it out and then and activate. That it was starting to really work on the body level, where it was anchoring, it was grounding and coming down into the earth in a real livable physical way. So that was maybe like February, and I got this deck, and it was just so perfect because they're very, very earthy. Okay, so we get the Seven of Wands and the Two of Coins. Okay, so this is a balance card again. The Two of Pentacles. So there she is, standing in her tree, fully connected to the earth, but balancing the energies, and it's coming out with the Seven of Wands. So the Seven of Wands can be a card of, especially in this deck, look at it, he's under attack. He's having to defend himself. Like, he's holding on to the trees too, which I love. Like, she's connected. And that's the thing that was coming up in the reading last week, was like, stay connected to the earth, because, the earth is real. The earth is the opposite of this. It's like the false matrix. And this tries to disconnect us from the earth, get us into technology, get us into, the AI, and, just separate us from our divinity, separate us from the earth. It goes hand in hand, because we're trying to bring our divinity down onto the earth. So hijack the soul, hijack the planet, and then try to blame you for the planet as well. And so, but here they are, leaning into nature. She's finding her balance. And that's like my daughter, whenever she will get kind of spun out and she'll want to talk about something, I'm like, all right, but we're going up on the hill. We're getting out in nature, because we're going to be able to hear better. We're going to be able to figure it out if we're with nature. So going to our power spots and finding that balance, and we start to go a bit unconscious, when we're in the battle. And we're, getting sucked in, and, it starts to feel a little hopeless, and look at the fires of hell behind us, everything's coming at us. Oh my gosh, just go into nature and go into your happy place and your creativity and the things that bring you balance and the truth. The truth is interesting, because it looks like in this that there's water, and it's reminding me in my dream, just like the water all around, meaning going into a place where we can hear the water of our own soul, where we can hear it. Nature reflects that, and that's what I was saying last week, how nature's integrating these energies. They're integrating into nature, into the waters. They're reflected back. They're integrating into our body. So nature is the perfect mirror for our spirits, for that higher frequency energy, which is where we come from, which is what we are in truth, despite the hijack of this that has made us feel very, very small. Again, this being upside down, leaning into nature, to connect and to know what's real, and to bring things into balance. To know how to move forward on the earth, in a way that's good and is aligned with the higher energies, and not reactionary and out of the unconscious default programming, right? So a beautiful message of that, pausing to find that balance, because of course this stuff is still swirling around. He might be defeated. There might have been enough of us that have joined forces in the astral realm to transmute the darkness, alchemize the darkness within ourselves, that there's just the common denominator in the realm is different now. It used to be this, because everybody was feeding this. Enough of us stopped feeding this to turn it upside down. There doesn't have to be everybody. It's a small, Ashiana Dean says it's like 8% of people. 8% of people, that's not a lot. us working together, knowing that we came here to do this, to turn this upside down. So the energetic configuration in the realm is one of this being defeated. That doesn't mean that people aren't still playing it out, because unconsciously a lot of people still have these patterns. And as things start to, again, the destruction start to fall apart in their lives in the ways that they haven't, sealed off their boundaries to this energy, is causing a lot of destruction, which can look a certain way, right? It can look like this is still functioning, but it's not. And so again, that compassion, and with me with the lady, it's a simple example. It's not the best example, but there are other ones that are more poignant. But just because I already mentioned it, the lady at the eye doctor, just being compassionate, as it's not a good example, but for the people that are really experiencing a lot of destruction because they've been really aligned with this energy, whether they meant to or not, it doesn't matter. We're still having compassion, and we're holding space for them, because we've all been caught up in this web. And we're coming out of this web again, and a lot of us, working. But those of us that have been behind the scenes, unraveling this energy, turning it on its head, anchoring and integrating this energy, really holding space for the destruction as things fall apart, so that others can come into this alignment and helping and supporting and loving and praying and whatever it is that we're called to do from that higher space within ourselves that guides, okay? And so... yeah. What was the card that got all that going? I don't know. But I'm going to pull Goddess of the Moon Oracle, 40 minutes. I think this might be my last one. I can't believe I used to use every deck. I think I'm just like channeling more, talking more. I talk a lot in the beginning now. Maybe I'll stop doing that. I don't know. I'm feeling into stuff always. All right, that's way too many cards. But let me see what they are. Yeah. Let's see. All right. Self-reflection, focus, and surrender. Okay. Sometimes it feels like too many cards, but there's just something about them that's like, no, take me. Self-reflection, focus, and surrender. Exactly. And I've been talking a lot about this surrender, where it's like, again, that being in the river and being in alignment and flowing. It's like, we're not kind of in this like mental energy where we're trying to make something happen, or we're trying to make sure we win or don't lose, or whatever, even if it's to protect other people. We're kind of in this flow energy, this surrender. But at the same time, and I feel like this is a repeat message, so I'm gonna stop with this. But again, the boundaries, where it's like self-reflecting on all of our choices, having the focus, and knowing that the name of the game, again, is not to win or protect or lead from our heads, but to really self-reflect and to assess if what we're doing in every given moment is from the highest energy. Is it from the highest energy? Is it from love? Is it from unity? Is it from unity consciousness? Is it from collaboration? Or is it a necessary boundary that we need to set, again, for the greater whole? If I don't take time to myself right now, I'm not going to be able to hold space for you in the way you need me to hold space for, so I'm going to abandon you now to help you later, this kind of thing. Put the mask on yourself first, right? This kind of thing. But self-reflecting and focusing to find the right configuration and arrangement of your of every aspect of your life. So all right, I'm going to stop there, and surrendering and knowing that we're in that right alignment, that things flow, because we're, and even, having an affirmation, like I've been really saying lately, like, help me to be of service in the best and highest way possible. Help me to see what I need to see, feel what I need to feel, just starting like every day like that, just like surrendering it up, surrendering to that flow, and surrendering to that discernment and self-reflection that we're inviting in to show us. Because it's not just, it's like it flows through us, but we have to pay attention, we have to focus, to know, to pause, and to say, is this the way, is this a choice that I want to make, is this how I want to act? So that's really cool. I forgot about some of the things that I had been contemplating this weekend that I felt like I might end up talking about, and I love how the cards really guided me to do that. Look at that. Wow, that's so beautiful. And she has the butterfly on her third eye, and she's under the water again, going into the water to discern and to feel into what is true and right, and being aware that there's a lot of unconsciousness that's running in us, because we have been programmed, but there is strong support in these energies. And I feel like that's what's being urged, is to just to be conscious and to focus. So, okay. Well, thank you for communing with me and joining in that telepathic space. Thank you for all of you who have been doing this work alongside me and have been telling me about it and collaborating, communicating and just communing over the trials and encouraging each other and supporting in those ways. And just congratulations to all of us for this victory, for this, and then onwards as well in holding compassionate space for what is happening in our world at this time. So, okay, much love to you all. Thanks for listening. Bye.